having us on. And I think what we'll do this morning is briefly, I'd like to talk about what we're seeing in the insurance marketplace really this year, and what we're foreseeing moving into the next year, and then how we handle the renewal, and then we can field any questions that that the board might have. Does that work?
Solid.
Sure.
We're gonna need to present yourself a little differently here. Sharply dressed.
I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
Can you get closer to the mic?
I'm sorry, Brad. I can't hear you.
Can't hear you, Brad.
Am I muted?
Peace.
Can you get closer to the mic?
That's better.
There we go. That's better.
Oh, sorry, I was talking into my computer. How silly of me. Let's do a test.
Sorry, what'd you say?
Let's do a test.
Okay, can you hear me now?
This is sounding better. Yes, everybody else. It's everybody else too. Can everybody hear him? It's important.
Yes.
Okay, let's try moving forward again. Thank you. Sorry for the interruption.
No problem. So first of all, like I was saying, thank you for having us on. Gallagher took over as the county's broker before last renewal, and when we took over, we moved the county from NYMER, which had been the county's insurance carrier for quite some time, to a Zurich program, and that led to not only much better coverage for the county, but also a savings of around $100,000. So with that in mind, I just want to briefly talk about what we're seeing in the insurance marketplace right now, and what we foresee going into next year, and then how we handle the county's upcoming renewal. So what I'll do now is I'm just going to share my screen so everyone is seeing the same thing. Oh, okay, I don't think I can share my screen actually.
Tammy, can you make this happen?
How many can share?
Tammy said we can share it.
Okay. I just have to be allowed to be able to screen share. There we go. Got it. Okay. Perfect. Okay, so the insurance marketplace right now is we're in the midst of what's called a hard marketplace. So for about 8 or 9 years, the insurance marketplace was pretty soft, and premiums were pretty steady, if not decreasing a little bit. And moving into this year, even pre-COVID, the insurance marketplace starts to harden a bit, and carriers began to increase their rates. Some carriers began to pull back on limits they were offering, and that's really just largely due to the fact that the marketplace itself is cyclical. So there's periods of time where we go through soft markets, and then a hard market comes along for a year or two, and then hopefully goes away. But it's really reactionary on the carrier's point of view. They tend to increase rates and pull back on limits at times, and that's because they go through a period of time where they're paying out a lot of claims. So last year there was a few natural disasters that the carriers were hit with. Some of the hurricanes, the fires out in California, and that affects the insurance marketplace as a whole. It's not really carrier specific. So based on all the claims they were incurring and all the losses they were having to pay out, a lot of the carriers had to increase their rates as a way to make up for that. So That's really what we're seeing right now, just across the board. It varies by line of coverage, but really across the board, you're seeing rates increase. Property rates are increasing. Most renewals we worked on this year are north of 10% when you're talking about property, when you're talking about liability, anywhere from 5 to 15%. And then the excess liability marketplace, that's the umbrella marketplace, is really, really going crazy. Colin and I have worked on renewals this year that, we've seen excess liability go up 50% year over year. So it's really we're really in the thick of a hard market, and so our goal moving into this renewal for the county was to mitigate those increases as much as possible, while maintaining the level of coverage that the county has. So with that, I'll stop there and see if there's any questions before I move into how we approach the county's renewal specifically.
Just so everybody knows there, what was our last year's cost?
Last year's cost, or this current year, which is expiring, the total program cost was $751,000.
Okay, I just wanted to bring that up there. And
Sure
this,
thing, yeah.
and this year, we're up to 780.
Sorry?
And this year, we're up to 780,000 and change?
780, that's correct.
So that was increased,
About a 4% increase, yeah.
4% increase. One of my questions is I know we're kind of acting on this because the market's been kind of squirrely up and down a 4%, I think, with everything that's gone down with COVID and that is really it's fair with the price of everything going up. I guess my question is that are we going to monitor this in case things change around, maybe at the first of the year and prices drop? Do we, if it happens to get a reduction, are we able to move on that, or once we're locked in, we're locked in?
Once coverage is bound, it's for an annual policy year. So we reassess things every year before renewal. That's really just how each policy works. It's on an annual basis. But we monitor the marketplace on a rolling basis to make sure that we're in tune with what's going on, and if we can take advantage of things at each renewal, we will.
All right, so basically, I think the question we have for the committee is, is everybody happy with the 4% increase?
And Brad, if you'd like, I can go through the actual marketing summary.
All right, please. All right.
So I have it here on my screen, but these blue lines here, these are the lines of coverage that we moved from NYMER before last renewal to Zurich. So now the county's been with Zurich for almost a year, and that really makes up a bulk of the county's insurance program. As you can see, it's about 460,000 of the 780. So those lines of coverage include property, boil and machinery, all of your liability lines. So general liability, law enforcement liability, public officials liability, auto liability, and then your umbrella, which is the excess liability. And that sits over all of the liability lines. Those increases from Zurich were pretty in line with what we're seeing in the marketplace. They're actually a little lower than what we're seeing. But you see the property going from 211 to 249, the law enforcement and public officials going from 149 to 163, and then the excess liability going from 43 to 49. So again, that's the bulk of the county's program from a premium standpoint, and we're pretty pleased with those results from Zurich, honestly, with just taking into consideration what the rest of the marketplace is doing, and mind you, moving from Neimer to Zurich, I guess it was now about a year ago, saved the county about $100,000 in those lines of coverage. So this here is really the bulk of the county's program, is where what you're seeing here. If I go down here, you have the county's crime coverage is pretty flat year over year. This workers' compensation line here, this is one of the lines that we targeted as a way that we could mitigate costs for the county. And what we mean by that is right now the county has a level of retention for workers' compensation of $1 million. So all claims that are below $1 million are the county's responsibility, and then the county purchases excess coverage above that. Based on our conversations with Amy and her team and Ryan, and we decided to go out to the marketplace and obtain options for an increased level of retention. And the reason for that was in the county's really in 20, 25 years, there hasn't been a workers' comp claim that has come even close to breaching that retention of $1 million. I think in speaking with Amy, it's maybe the highest one is $650,000. So based on that information and based on the analysis we ran, we determined that it's probably in the county's best interest to increase that level of retention in exchange for some premium relief. So you'll see here the expiring premium is $173,000, and we obtained 4 different options ranging from $165,000 to $152,000. Our recommendation is this option of $152,000, and that's taking the county's retention from $1 million to $2 million. So you're increasing your retention to $2 million, but in exchange you're getting $20,000 worth of premium relief. And if you kind of track that out for a few years, it's quite a significant savings that the county is going to see if we maintain that level of retention. And from our point of view, there's no reason why you shouldn't, based on your loss history. The other piece here is this employer's liability. This was a policy that the county had in place for quite some time, and really all it did was buy down the retention level for employer's liability, because employer's liability is offered within your workers' comp coverage as is. It's subject to the same level of retention, that $2 million. This employer's liability policy that the county was purchasing had a retention of $50,000. So essentially all it did is it bought down that retention from $1 million to $50,000. But you're paying $21,000 every single year for this policy, which you never ever use. And really in the county's history, there's never been an employer's liability claim. And so based on that, and based on the fact that you already have this coverage afforded within your excess workers' compensation, our recommendation is for the county to non-renew that policy, which will save you another $20,000 here. Moving on to cyber, this red line here, that's the county cyber coverage. The cyber marketplace really of any line of coverage is probably the line that's been the most volatile this year. We're seeing carriers increase their premiums anywhere from 25 to 200%. A lot of carriers are implementing minimum deductibles that are much higher than they were in the past. They're pulling back on limits. So again, that's all a product of the frequency and severity of cyber claims that carriers are incurring, that the marketplace as a whole is seeing. So they're much more prevalent, especially amongst municipalities. So what we did was we went out to about the county's current carriers, AIG. We went out to about 7 other carriers and marketed that specific line of coverage as a way to to try to drive costs down. The renewal option from AIG was by far the best option. Although the premium increase looks steep, it's about 50%. All other carriers came in at over $30,000, well over $30,000, and with higher levels of retention. So right now the county's retention is $50,000. Most other carriers, their minimum retention was $100,000 for cyber. So again, AIG was by far the best option. But we wanted to make sure to do our due diligence, go into the marketplace and obtain other quotes to make sure we were leaving no stone unturned as it relates to the cyber coverage. Moving on to this standalone boiler and machinery here. This is another policy that we're recommending the county non-renew, and the reason for that is the county was really doubling up on this coverage because it's already offered within the Zurich program here. Your boiler and machinery is covered under the Zurich program, so this standalone boiler and machinery and travelers is really just you're just doubling up on coverage. So again, getting rid of that's $13,000 right there. And again, these are just kind of ways in which we were able to mitigate the overall cost that the county is going to spend on insurance. The healthcare general liability and professional liability, this one went up about $13,000, and similar to the cyber, we did go out to about 5 other carriers to quote on this. No other carrier came close to Allied World, which is the county's incumbent carrier. And again, I think this just goes back to what we're seeing in the marketplace. It's right now it's really tough. Carriers are really not budging on pricing. They're increasing rates wherever they can, and most other carriers that we went out to, their premiums were right around $50,000. As you can see, this Allied World renewal quote is $36,000, so by far our best option. And then the rest of these lines here, I won't go through them one by one, but they're the ancillary lines of coverage that the county purchases. Most of them are within the overall Zurich program, which is this blue section here. But it's the flood, the airport liability, the general liability, and the excess liability policy for the IDA that the county shares with Washington County. And then lastly, our brokerage fee, which is flat, of course, $34 this year to $34 this coming year. So all in all, again, we're looking at about a $29,000 increase from last year, which again, 4.1%. Colin and I were extremely happy with it, just based on the rest of the accounts we've worked on this year. The increases have been well above 10%, and that's really a product of again what we're seeing in the marketplace. So with the help of Amy and her team and Ryan, we were able to get creative and figure out ways in which we could offset the hardening marketplace and mitigate the premium increase of the county as much as possible. And I think we were able to do that. So that's as far as the marketing summary goes, that's pretty much what I had to cover. Also, I'll pause there and see if there's any questions about anything that I just went over. Sure, Brad.
Thank you for that presentation, but I feel it's a little misleading on that 4%. Because if we're taking out $34,600 in our premiums because we have double coverage,
Sure.
and that $29,000 increase brings us to an increase of $63,600. That to me doesn't add up to 4%.
Sure.
Am I wrong at looking at it that way?
Are you sorry? Can you repeat the question?
Am I wrong at looking at it that way? We are taking out the employer liability.
Yep.
And the what's that other one there? Let me try to get that one. 13,000, I think. And the standalone boiler machine, we're taking those out. So that's $21,000 savings
Right.
and a $13,600 savings. So you add them up together, you end up with $34,600 savings, taking them out. So you take that 34,600, and Jack, you're very good at numbers. Chime in anytime you like if I'm going down the wrong path here. And then with the $29,000 increase, that puts our premium up. With the savings in that, to me, $63,600.
Sure.
I'm looking at this wrong. It's not 29,000. It's actually 63,600.
Sure.
29% different, or 29,000 from last year's price. So
Sure.
that, to me, is a significant jump in insurance.
Sure.
So it was a little misleading on that 4%, and that's when I saw all these taken out. So I'm just speaking as Brad McGowan here, but I'm just a little confused.
Sure. No, you're not. You're not looking at it wrong at all. And I totally understand what you're saying, and that's why we laid everything out the way we did. We're trying to be as transparent as possible, but our job as the county's broker is to find ways that we can mitigate the overall insurance expense as much as possible, whether that's by marketing certain lines of coverage or by doing what we did, which is analyzing the program and figuring out there's a few things that you're purchasing that you really don't need to purchase that you've been purchasing for a long time, and those haven't been looked at in some time. And so being able to really drill down on these things and figure out, maybe we don't need to purchase these things, and that's what our goal was. Obviously, our goal is to drive down the premium cost back to you as much as possible, but we can only control that so much. The majority part of that is dictated by what the carriers are doing and what the marketplace as a whole is doing. So aside from that, our job is to figure out ways in which we can get creative, and I think that's what we were able to do, is by really taking a look at your program and figuring out that, okay, this employer's liability, it's really not necessary. So we can get rid of that as a way to mitigate an even further increase, like you pointed out. This workers' compensation, if we increase the retention and that's still the excess policy still protects the county from catastrophic claims, then let's do that as a way to mitigate an even larger increase. The standalone boiler machinery here, again, if we don't need that, which again, this has been purchased for quite some time now. Let's get rid of that and get rid of that $13,000 year over year. So I totally get your point, Brad, in that yeah, sure, if we were to leave in the lines of coverage that we're recommending the county take out, it's well over 4%, absolutely. But again, our job is to find ways in which we can mitigate the county's total cost of risk, really from a high level point of view, and through our work this year and through the analysis we did of the county's program, I think we're able to do that.
If I could expand on that, there's that point, which is we were with NYMER for 20 years. And this is what happens when somebody thinks they're going to get the business year after year after year after year, and there's no competition. They never look at these things and make a recommendation as to what we don't need anymore. So that's one piece of the value that our new broker has brought to this, where they are taking a fresh look with fresh eyes. When they bid this program out for the year 2020, they bid it out as exactly what we were already receiving from NYMER. So this is the very first year where they've gone in and made revisions to the program based on their professional recommendation as to what we need and what we don't need. That wouldn't happen with NYMER. And how do we know that? Because they didn't do it for 20 years. They kept doing the same old thing. The second piece is NYMER's program in 2019, which is 2 years ago, when you consider this is for 2021. That program cost $870,000. Well, let's assume 5% growth on that, which is conservative. You know, you heard the market's hardening. A lot of places are seeing 10 to 15. 5% growth on 870 into this year and into next year puts us at $960,000. So that shows you the savings that we're getting under this program. 4% refers to dollars out the door. Dollars out the door in 2020 versus dollars out the door for 2021 is a 4% increase.
No, thank you, Ryan, for that, and I appreciate that. I just want to bring to the attention is that, you know, and I don't want to call it a sales pitch, but a sales pitch, all right? We have a company that came in last year, you know, saved us $100,000, and thank you very much. And so I'm not, you know, busting you. I think, you know, this is excellent, but to me, these are some really, really big increases in the overall picture. And I hope my homeowners and automobile insurance and my liabilities don't jump as much as this does without me being able to take some fat off of it. But no, I appreciate that, and I'm not questioning. I just wanted to bring it up to the committee to understand my point of view, where I'm coming from. And I thought I'd have an opportunity before Jack, because I know he's over there working the numbers. I can see him now. Spokes coming off the top of his head. But I just wanted to bring that up. I don't have a problem with it, you know, but I need a little time to digest this, but we still have time for the board meeting. But I appreciate all the work, and I trust the way we're moving forward. But I just wanted to bring that up. So I'll sit and let anybody else want to speak.
Sure. No, Brad, I appreciate that. And again, if it's coming off as a sales pitch, that wasn't our intention at all. We're not trying to at this point sell anything. We're to Ryan's point, the 4.1% increase, that's total program cost, really, from going from this year to next year. It's dollars out the door, looking at things holistically. You're right. The increases from the Zurich lines you pointed out, it's well above 4%. And again, 4% is not what we're seeing in the marketplace. What we're seeing in the marketplace is well above 10, 12, 15%. So I think the increases you're seeing from Zurich are indicative of that. But again, our goal in working with the county and serving as the county's brokers is to really just find ways in which we can offset the increases that you're going to experience from the marketplace, which are really inevitable. And those are the increases you're seeing from Zurich and the other carriers. Offset those by having a fresh set of eyes, take a look at things and figure out ways in which we can decrease the cost of other lines. So that's really all we were trying to convey.
No, and I really appreciate that, because that means a lot. Because you're right, we didn't need it. That's extra fluff, and that's the eyes that we need. And I appreciate that. And really, it might have been just a choice of words. I shouldn't have said it as a sales pitch. But I'm just thinking, next year you're going to present, another proposal, and we're not going to have that fluff to take out. So, are we talking, which we don't know what the market is, but another, what I'm saying. So we have a savings of 100,000 one year. In the next year, we're into it for $63,600. Different. So I'm just looking at it a different way, but I appreciate it, and I feel comfortable with the with the increase, and I'm not saying I'm going to make a rough. I just just wanted to see if I could get any more input from anybody else. Thank you again.
Sure.
So it's open for discussion. Everybody have any discussion? Okay, so I guess Do we have anything from the floor there, Don, from the public?
No, Chairman McGowan, not at this time. No comments on YouTube.
All right. So I guess,
Chairman McGowan,
yes.
I have a resolution request on the agenda to authorize that total. I actually make it 785,000. I add a few thousand just for changes like autos and whatnot that we'll buy between now and the end of the year. But I need a authority to pay those bills when they come in on January 1st, please.
That's on our resolution request for number 20? Or do I have another?
It is. Nope, it's in your packet that I sent ahead. A resolution request authorizing the payment of the 2021 property insurance.
Did I get that one?
Yep, it's on the second page of your agenda packet.
Yeah, that was on resolution form 20. Well, that was for the, it didn't say to pay, but it's the renewal for the 2021 project. Is that all in one?
There's details on page 3 of your packet.
Yeah, that's, I'll bring that to the floor. Can someone bring that to the floor? The resolution to move forward, so, Amy can make sure we have from Supervisor Driscoll.
I'll second.
Was that?
I'll second.
Supervisor Hogan.
Oh, thank you Supervisor Hogan. So I have a second, so I'll call a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? All right, so moved. We got any referrals or pending items that anybody would like to bring up before I move on here? I'm in a very talkative mood. Anybody want to talk? You know, we can move forward through this. Okay. Well, I'm going to make a motion to adjourn. Ms. Hogan, thank you again. Anybody else?
I'll second that.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Supervisor Bruno. So we're adjourned. We'll call a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Now we're adjourned. Thank you all.
Thank you.